Hi everyone, welcome to your practice. I am Jessica and this is going to be a Psoas release and relax practice. So definitely more restorative than what you normally see on my channel. It's not an active practice at all, so this can be a nice end to an active practice if you've already done that, or it could be a nice follow-up to a run, a spin, any kind of active activity. So we're going to do just a few postures that will again release and relax the psoas, that deep hip flexor, very strong muscle. And all you'll need is a bolster and 2 blocks. But if for some reason you don't have those specific yoga props, you can definitely get creative and use something else in your house. So no worries if you don't necessarily have these things. We're going to use them at the very end. Okay, so for now, let's get started in hands and knees, table posture. So meet me there, all fours. Get the wrists about underneath the shoulders or maybe a little bit ahead of the shoulders if your wrists are tender. Inhale, lift your chest into a cow back, lift your tailbone, soften the belly down. And on your exhale, push the mat away, round the upper back, curl the tail under for that cat back. Do that just a few times, smooth and steady. Make the breath full, smooth. Let it be soothing. Let's do 1 or 2 more. 1 more, slow and steady. Good. Inhale to a neutral spine. We'll step the left foot forward. Get the knee about underneath or right over the ankle or so. And walk your hands up to the top of your left thigh. So just an easy lunge. And we're going to make it more of an upright lunge so that back knee is pretty much underneath that hip. Reach the arms up. Grab your right forearm, lift it up and go over. So just an easy side stretch here, starting to lengthen that psoas system just a little bit. Let's hold here for another cycle of breath. Good. On your next inhale, come back through center. Exhale, set the hands down and go back to that table posture, hands and knees. Let's take a round of cat-cow. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your tailbone, and exhale, round. Make some space in between those shoulder blades. Inhale to neutral and step your right foot forward. And just get that foot forward however you need to come into that lunge. Knee and ankle are stacked on the front leg, and the back knee is not too far behind the hip. So again, pelvis is upright. You're in a pretty short stance for your lunge. Reach the arms up. Good inhale there. On your exhale, grab your left forearm, lift up and go over so you're side bending toward your right. Press the front foot down, press the back shin down, and we'll hold here for another round of breath. Easy does it. Really nice. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, hands down. Come on back to table posture. Let's take a brief child's pose. Knees can be together or wide. Hips go back to the heels. Arms reach. You can let the third eye touch the ground if you'd like. Breathe into the back of the body for about 2 rounds of breath. You'll notice if you claw your hands forward, you'll get a little bit more length through the side waist. Let's take another round of breath. Good. Inhale, roll yourself up. And now we're going to transition to our back. So come on down to your back and let your knees be bent. Take your feet wide to the edges of your mat and let your knees touch together. This is called constructive rest. And this is a nice way to lie on your back, but take any pressure off the lower back. Because for a lot of us, if we go straight to just full Shavasana with those legs straight, that doesn't always feel great to everyone's lower back. So if that's you, this constructive rest is going to be a nice place for you whenever you're asked to come to your back. I'm asking you to start here because it's just going to lead us into our next few poses nicely to start to release that psoas area. So the knees are touching. You're letting those inner groins soften down. You might place a hand over your navel, one hand over your heart, and allow your breath to be smooth and steady. Take a few rounds of full breath in and out through the nose. And find that length of inhale and exhale that's just right for you. Let it be longer than what you normally use for your everyday breathing. But notice that if you tend to get too aggressive with the breath, sometimes tension will build up. So if you notice any tension coming up, just know that that's an indication to back off. Make it a little bit softer. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath. Good. Okay, let's walk the feet back, about hip width apart. Draw your right knee in towards your chest. And at this point, you can either leave your left knee bent or you could slide the left leg to straight. You decide. Focus on your right leg right now, right knee over right hip. Interlace your hands and place them on the top of your thigh, so on those quadriceps. And then give a little push of the hand and the thigh together. And when you do that, you'll probably start to feel the hip flexors contract a little bit. So feel that push between the hand and the thigh, and then soften that push and feel the hip flexors relax. We're going to do that a few times. Push the hand and the thigh together. Feel what has to activate. And then soften that resistance between the hand and the thigh. Do that one more time. Good. Nice. And now let's draw the right knee into the chest. Maybe interlace the hands on the shin. Send the left leg long if that works for you. And just see what feels good here with that right thigh. For some of you, taking some circles with that thigh might feel nice. You might want to circle the right ankle a bit. So just feel into that. Let it feel good. Take one more full round of breath. Good. And then we'll let that go. Come back to that constructive rest. Knees together, feet wide. Maybe close your eyes, and from that internal gaze, feel any difference from right side of pelvis to left side of pelvis, right thigh bone, left thigh bone, maybe even a little bit higher up into the abdomen. Notice any difference from left side to right side. Cycle of breath. Good. Walk the feet back hip width. And now we'll do all of that second side. Float your left knee up so that the knee's about over that hip socket. And at this point, the right leg could be long or the right knee can stay bent. You decide. Hands interlace. Place them on the left thigh bone and give a press of the leg and the hands together. Notice what has to activate, what shortens. And then soften that press of the hand and the thigh. We're going to do that a few times. Press hand and thigh together. And then release that resistance and allow it to soften. Maybe 2 more times. Active press of hand and thigh together. And then back off, let it soften. 1 more time. Good. Now draw the left knee in, interlace on shin or ankle, and let the right leg go long. Take a few moments here. Notice if it feels better to draw the left knee toward the left armpit or closer to the sternum. If you want to take those gentle circles, kind of stirring the pot on that hip socket, you might do that. You might take some circles with the left ankle. Good. And now we'll drop both knees into the chest. Widen the knees. Reach for big toes or heels or outer foot, but let your hands be on the inside of the knees. Happy baby. So kind of rock and roll. Just let it be easy, let it be playful if that feels right. There's really no right or wrong with the happy baby, so let it feel good. One more round of breath. Notice where you can soften with this. Good, and then gently bring the knees together. This is when we're gonna set up our props. So, if you do have the bolster and the blocks, the way we'll start is we'll set 2 blocks up side by side. For my height, I will place the blocks on their highest height. For some folks, depending on your proportions, you might need to go a lower height. So there is going to be a little bit of experimentation here as we get everything set up. And then for those of you who are familiar with Stonehenge, which is a restorative pose, that's basically what we're doing with the bolsters. We're creating Stonehenge. Now, if you don't have the bolster and blocks, no worries. I have done this with a sofa. I've also done this with a stool. So you can get creative and just find something in your house that can act as this. So if you need to pause the video and go find that, go ahead. But basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide one leg straight. So I'm gonna make my left leg be the down leg. And then the right shin is going to prop up on your bolster or your sofa or your stool or whatever you're using. Here's the important part. I want my knee to be pretty close to over the hip, and I want my hips to be on the ground. So if you put your right leg up on something and the right side of your pelvis is floating up off the ground, that something is too high. So you might need to turn your blocks down, or you might need to find a different stool or whatever you're using. But the main thing is, the up leg, which right now is the right leg, is completely supported. The pelvis is level, completely supported by the ground. And we're going to soften and hold this for 2 to 3 minutes. If you have more time, you hold it for 5 minutes. But for the purposes of this recording, I'm going to go about 3 minutes. Okay? So get everything just right. I always say the hardest thing about restorative poses is just getting them set up. But once you get everything perfect, then we want to be able to relax, release all effort, and simply soften, soften, and soften. So after you've gotten everything situated for you, maybe close your eyes. Just follow the breath as it is. And then see if you can smooth out the breath even more. Let it be full, steady, and soothing. If you feel any tension in the jaw, you might just gently press your tongue to the backs of your teeth. Maybe waggle the tongue a little bit, maybe toggle the jaw. And keep that breath smooth in and out through the nose. And so where the psoas originates, around T12, L1 on the front of the spine, is the same place where the diaphragm attaches. So when we're working on releasing the psoas, smooth and steady breath can influence that. So that's why I like you to find this relaxation, not only through this supported restorative pose, but through this soothing full breath. I'm watching the time. So if you're sticking with me, we've been here for 3 minutes. Either stay or we're going to slowly transition to the second side. So take your time. I'm going to take my right leg long. And then I'm going to set my left shin up on the bolster. So go ahead and get everything just right. And I'll start watching the time again for about another 3 minutes. And so the Psoas system, if you're not familiar with it, is a very powerful hip flexor. It's also a deep core and spinal stabilizer. And so the psoas can overwork. It can also get really short and tight, particularly if you have a job that has you at a desk and seated for long hours. There's a good chance that psoas gets short and tight, and then that can sometimes lead to lower back pain. And if you're a runner or cyclist, you know those hip flexors do a lot of work for you. So taking some time to allow it to release is not only good for that muscle group, but it's very soothing to the nervous system. And that's something all of us can probably benefit from. A few more rounds, smooth and steady breath. And you'll notice the longer you hold restorative poses, the more you might be able to soften and notice where you can let go a little bit more. For a lot of us, we have kind of chronic tension or grip in certain areas of the body. And sometimes that can just be such a familiar way to move through the world that we don't even notice that we carry that tension, right? So allowing these moments of softness, of release, can help us to identify those patterns that we might just carry with us and maybe start to release those a bit. And just notice how the breath can influence that, but also slowing down and taking these moments to just pause. Doesn't have to be long. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. So if you're sticking with me, we've been on the left side for 3 minutes now. The final pose I'm going to suggest is both legs on the bolster or your stool or your sofa or whatever you're using as your support. And I really like Stonehenge with the bolster on the blocks, but for some folks, just that bolster alone feels good. So do what works just right for you. And then again, close the eyes if that feels right to you. Draw the attention inward. Feel that the whole body is supported. The earth and the props rise up to meet you. And the breath is full, smooth, and soothing. I invite you to stay in this pose for as much time as you have allotted for this practice. Please take your time whenever you do decide to come out of the pose. Take your time to come out and maybe even come to a seat after you come out of the pose, no rush. Just take a moment to observe how the body feels, how the breath feels, and notice the tone and the speed of your thoughts. Witnessing the impact of this practice on your entire being. Again, please stay for as much time as you have allotted for this practice. Take your time. And I'm so glad to have led you through this practice. If you have any questions about this practice or anything yoga related, I'd love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.